I am recording. Welcome all. Everyone's on. Just got a text message from Scott Mitchell. So if someone could email Scott at whitneymitchell.com.au the link to log in, that would be great. If not, I'll have to send him the recording. But welcome. We've just been talking off air with Lou Rasper on the value of advanced language skills. It was a very fascinating conversation, and I forgot to click start recording because we just started shooting the breeze kind of as we were chatting, and it turned into a very good conversation. I think we've sold a few NLP courses between me and Lou. It's certainly a very powerful thing. But my summary was, learn your marketing stuff, because no advanced language or rapport building skills or any of that stuff works unless you're in front of a bunch of people every month. And Lou agrees. But certainly Lou Rasper, who is the man who in many ways mentored Tom Carlin in his formative training years, is just a genius at that stuff. So very cool and honoured to have that chat with you, Lou. And on behalf of the crowd that we've got here, we've got at the moment, I think about 50 or 60 people on. So, 60 people on listening. So it's good to have the inner circle introduced to, to know that even mentors like Lou are still, so hungry for knowledge. Certainly I still am a learner of this sort of stuff as much or more than I'm a teacher of this stuff, all the way today. Some of you guys, my vintage or even up, might remember a training program called The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale. It's probably the first professional development training ever. It was released in the 50s on an LP. He still says, because I bought it on CD, but he still says on the other side of this record, because it was first released on an album, The Strangest Secret. So just amazing stuff. So, good to see. That's one of the keys, guys. A lot of people have asked me what's the secret to success and what's the one thing. Well, the one thing that led me to everything was becoming a lifelong learner. Thousands of hours of listening to people way smarter than me has been really the key to my success. So for, whatever success that is, I'm doing all right. As you can see on the screen, I give full credit to the fact that Glenn Twiddle is on that poster up the top with Richard Bloody Branson, because I did what I'm just suggesting to you guys, become a lifelong learner. And then the next key is implement. There's a lot of people who are learners that don't implement, and that'll do you nothing. You may as well not know it. But if you do implement, magic can happen. So welcome to a few of you newcomers. There's a bunch of guys where this is their first webinar, so welcome. And I just wanted to set the scene a little bit for you guys just quickly. What we do on these web trainings is really threefold, or in the case of tonight, perhaps fourfold. Firstly, I acknowledge your guys' successes. When someone does something good, we talk about it. We discuss it, we see what worked, what didn't, why it worked, and we do that. So sometimes that involves a bit of patting on the back, like if we've got someone like Lou Rasper or a special guest on there, we do make a big deal of that, because it's a positive environment. And some people are on this training where this is the only positivity they have, because they're in an office that is not conducive to positivity. And so they use this environment, this coaching program, as their peer group of positivity. So that's one thing we do. Secondly, the other thing we do is we go through new content. We go through new ideas. We go through new strategies and things like that. And whenever I've got something new and I'm experimenting, the first place I go is to you guys. And really the third thing we do is I help you with implementing the strategies that are in your home study course. So this is an implementation. What I don't do is I don't get on these webinars and just go over the stuff that's on your CDs, your DVDs, and in your training packs. That's a waste of our one-on-one time, because you can learn that listening to a CD. What you can't get on a CD is saying, so Glenn, tell me about a little bit more about that thing you say and you get your questions answered. So really that's what we do. We talk about what's working. We answer your questions about how to implement, and if there is any new content or any new ideas and stuff like that, like we did last month, then you guys are the first to know. And really one of the other things we do, like we just did with Lou, is we sometimes have guests. Lou Rasper, again, who we just spoke with about the benefits of NLP, for those of you who were on live. Fantastic discussion. And secondly, let me just see if we've got our next guest. Are we on, good sir? I think I can hear you. How you doing, man?
Hey, sweet.
Hey, man. Does anyone know that voice? Type it in if you can recognize that voice, just from those two words there. There you go. Polypol Glaze got it in one. Everyone got it. There you go, Matty. You're very famous just from two quick words. So, yeah, we got joining us tonight our friend, Mr. Mat Steinwede. Thanks for jumping on, bud.
Oh, that's all right. No problem.
Have you got visual, or are you on your phone or something, bud?
No, I'm at home with the kids being bathed, so you got me out of that.
Cool, man. Man, before we get started, I know that you and I have spoken about this privately a bunch of times on the phone, but dude, you know, a lot of us who know your history and a lot of the group knows mine, mate, can you believe we're looking at that screen that you and I are playing with that dude?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing him speak.
Cool, man. I'm still pinching myself, bud. I really am. I still can't believe it. But, mate, thanks for popping on, man. It's for those of you guys who, you know, well, if you're living under a rock, you know, I was with Deborah Evans today, Remax's number one. In fact, let's talk about Deborah a little bit. Matt, I was talking to Deborah Evans today and your name come up, as you two are probably the only two who have really nailed this work-life balance thing, where you guys can actually live your life but still earn incomes. Where, you know, again, we were talking the other day, number 2 in the entire McGrath network, you know, at the recent awards. Mate, tell us, you know, is there any tips you can give on that debate of work-life balance, going hard versus living your life, and where does that fit in, you know, for a group of these guys who are hanging out with us tonight?
Well, it's a journey I've been on for a long time, but I think the work-life balance is a tricky thing because it's defined differently by different people. So for a while there, when I was overworked, and I worked really hard for 15, 16, 17, 18 years. Like I don't know many people that worked harder than I did. And then I got to a point where I was like, okay, I need to sort of pull back a bit. But when I pulled back a bit, I realized that I sort of liked going hard as well. It's a funny thing. So I think maybe the balance for me is making sure everyone's taken care of. I used to think, you know, and for a while there I was working between 10 and 3 and whatever else. But I actually think I'm a bit addicted to putting deals together.
It's a good addiction to have, bud.
Yeah, it is. I think I am, actually. So it's like when I'm not doing that and I'm sort of cruising around and doing whatever, I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I actually like being, you know, in amongst the thrill of the kill.
Yeah. I tell you, a lot of the guys who have managed to have long careers like you have at the top of your game, a lot of you guys have got that in common, man. I've noticed. And you know what? That's one of the things that I don't share, and that's probably why I do this and not what you're doing, because I was good at doing the job, not to the degree you guys are at all, because I didn't have the skills at that time, but I was above average, but I didn't love it. And so I think that's definitely one of the differences. You guys have all got that in common.
Yeah, I think so. And there's parts of it, obviously, we don't love, like an owner texting me right now, actually.
No.
So, and it's like, you know, that sort of side of it, you can moderate it a little bit. But, like, I love the outcome. Like, I love what it can do. Like, you can literally create the life that you want, whether it's a company or whether it's just great income or whether it's just, you know, flexibility to make your life work around your job, is in real estate, selling property. Like, you can earn a lot of money. And you can build a great company and have lots of people, you know, helping you earn a lot of money as well. So it's, I don't know, it's pretty cool, the flexibility that it has.
Mate, I know we spoke about it many years ago. One of the questions one of the guys asked tonight, I figure, well, if you're on, you can answer this one way better than I, even though I've got some opinions on it. But the question was around hiring of the first team member. Now, you and I spoke, gee, it probably would have been 2 or 3 years ago. I remember you saying very clearly, Twids, I reckon I'm going to do it. I'm going to turn this into a McDonald's thing where I'm going to get all these roles so clearly laid out that I'm going to build a team around me that's going to, for the first time ever, because no one had ever really done that, and turned it into a process like a McDonald's that could be system driven. You know, and having really successfully done that, mate, tell us, what would your answer be to anyone asking about building a team and kind of the levels that you went through to build that team around you that has now become legendary in the industry?
I think you just got to be okay with crap people for a while, because you'll probably end up finding people that just don't suit what you want, and you've got to be okay with that, and then fire them, put them off, get a new one, put them off, get a new one. And then, like, you're not going to start by saying, like, you would get an admin person, but you know, it's tricky. It's tricky. An admin person that's sort of, if it's your first PA, then they're going to learn how to work with someone who's probably a little bit obsessive compulsive, really bad at paperwork, like frantically running around all day because you're doing everything. You've got to find someone who enjoys working with that. It's not easy. And I think when you go on that journey, I reckon it took me, I don't know, so many years to find a person that I really gelled with. So I think you've got to be okay with just trial and error. I know you're playing with people's jobs in a way, but I always say to people up front, like, we might not work out, and in a month's time, I might feel that you're just not for me, but you've got to be okay with that, and we're just going to part ways. Like, I say that up front. And I think if you're clear with people, and it's like, you know, we're never going to know what each other are like until we're sitting next to each other all day. So it's like, let's just see how that goes. And it's a long, long journey. Like, now I have a really amazing team that works around me, that my absolute, it's funny you're talking about this. Just today I had I don't meet with my team. We don't have weekly meetings or daily meetings, or I don't have any meetings with them actually. And they just do all their thing, and they work like a little family. And Pip, my PA, she's like, do you reckon you could work from home more? Because they get so much more done with me not there. And which is a sign of a good team, you know. They're just on it. Anyway, just today I thought I'd better catch up. I've got another girl that's joined our team, and she's a 20-year-old, really smart girl. She wants to be a lawyer. She's already done 2 years of pre-law, and she's sort of working alongside Pitt, and she's been with us maybe a few weeks, and I've said 3 words to her. So I thought, it's probably a good idea if I just catch up. We have a get together and with the team, and we just sort of talk about stuff. I talked about the Ferrari race team and the pit crew, and I put a picture up of that, and I was like, you know, this Ferrari team, what do you think about it now? Like, efficient, fast, and all of this. And, you know, I said to them, you know, there's one guy that his whole job is just to change that right-hand tyre. That's his job. And but aside from that, like, he's probably like an engineer of some sort, or a mechanic or whatever, but he's a highly trained, skilled person, and his whole job is to put that right tyre on in the most efficient way. And it was a really interesting thing. We worked the way around the car and all the jobs that they have, and we sort of likened it to what we do and how great that they've got to be. Because my whole thing is you've got to have people who are around you that are better than you. And if I'm away for a month, which I'm never am, but if I was, how does the team still produce the same results? That's the quest. And that's the quest that I'm on now. to create a team around me that can still produce the same amount of results if I'm not there for a month, say. So, and that's taken like 15, 16 years more, 17 years. I'm feeling a lot older now, Twigs, but 17 years to actually get those people. That's a long time.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Well, I tell you, if how close are you to that? Do you think? Do you think you're close, or are you just starting, or where that process? Where are you at on that journey of getting a completely matless, potentially for extended periods of time, EBU?
Yeah, I'm just about there. So I'm not quite there. I'm just about there. But you think of the people around me, like Trev, who sort of we both list. He's busting at the seams at the moment, so there's probably someone that needs to work alongside him. So I've got myself and a concierge, which is Jimmy. So Jimmy has been with me for 12 years, and he's like my concierge. So he makes sure that the service across my clients it stays steady, and all of the stuff that he knows has to get away from me, that's what he does. And then, there's Pip and there's Bryony and there's Trev, and Trev just needs a Jimmy with him, and then I reckon I'm there. Wow. And I reckon the result will stay steady, and I reckon we will maintain around $4 million a year and enjoy it.
Wow. So then you can come play with us more, Matt. You can come on my US tour with me next year. There's you go. There you go. Dude. I'm putting it out there, man. You and I have talked about the US, so it's going to happen next year, man. You got to come.
But you know what else I reckon, Twids? I reckon how we talk about numbers in this business, dollars and numbers, I just reckon it's all rubbish half the time. It's like, I reckon it sort of doesn't matter about the dollars that you write in a way, because you don't know how many people are doing that. You don't know how the structure is. When someone stands up on stage and they go, write this many millions of dollars, like someone could be writing $750,000 a year, be so much more profitable, enjoying life, and doing a much better job. So anyway, I agree, man. I agree. It bugs me a little bit how we just put such emphasis around what somebody writes.
Yep, no, I get it. And I definitely, well, look, I'm guilty of it too, only because it's a yardstick with which we can measure this is why you should listen to Mat Steinwede. But you're 100% right that the reason I don't do what you guys do is because I freaking love doing what I do. So if someone's doing 750 and they've got a couple of $100,000 in expenses and they're taking home $500,000, that's 10 grand a week. Who couldn't live on that happily, So I agree with you 1,000%, man.
Yeah, and they're doing what they want to do because, like I said in the beginning, I think success is defined by what each person says. Like Harry Triggerboff said, he might be a billionaire, but he said, to be perfectly honest, it's like 1 billion headaches.
Yep.
And like we've got Richard Branson coming. Like I reckon he lives a pretty cool life, but you don't know.
He does seem to. I tell you, I've done a lot of reading of all his stuff, and every time he's asked about his wealth, I don't know if you've ever heard any audio of him. It's almost like he says, shyly and embarrassedly, well, I guess if I sold all the companies, I'd be mega rich, but I'm not planning on doing that. So I just do my thing. And he reminds me of you, man. He's kind of shy a little bit about his, not shy, that's the wrong word, but he doesn't make a big deal about, hey, I am a billionaire or whatever. He almost says, well, I suppose on paper maybe if I sold everything, but I'm not going to do that. So I just do what I do. And, but I agree. He looks like he does lead a fantastic life, and he's surrounded himself with amazing people like you have, because Richard and I, we've corresponded about what we're going to discuss, but it's been through a third party, and I can tell the quality of the people he's surrounded himself, even in his personal, in this side of his business, dealing with us, incredible people that he's surrounded himself with.
Yeah, and I think that's interesting. I was in one of the most famous guys in Australia. I was in his office the other day, a few weeks ago, and talking to his CEO, and I said, oh, money came up. I don't know how it came up. I was with someone else in there, a guy that was looking at buying one of the properties anyway. And money came up, and she said, people don't realise that although they got that amount of money, they sort of don't at the same time. And she said, you would be amazed. And that's what I mean. Sometimes it's an illusion. Like, yes, like Richard, like it's Richard Branson, yeah, if he sold all these companies, but he's not going to do that. You know, like this guy, you would think this guy is worth the best part of $1 billion, this other guy where I was. And she's like, no, it's not exactly like that. It's all tied up and all this sort of stuff.
Yep, no, agreed, man. That's one of my goals is to have sitting in the bank account liquid $1 million because I've been worth $1 million on paper before, but it wasn't liquid, you know, so I couldn't just write a check for it. That's one of my goals is to have it sitting there, and I know that the investment strategists will be sitting there saying, Glenn, that's a horrible idea, but you know what? I just want it there. You know, I just want it there.
You will definitely get it. You'll definitely get it if you charge more for your tickets.
I love it, mate. I know you. Every time I talk to Matt, he says to me, "Twids, you got to start charging more so you make a profit." I'm doing all right.
Right. We want you to get wealthy, Twids. Everybody does.
Yeah, that's true. Well, we're doing good, mate. I'm having fun, but yeah.
Doing good. I want to help you get that $1 million in the bank.
I love you, man. You're a legend. Mate, tell us, I was talking to I was on a webinar with someone from Canada this morning, and we were talking about John McGrath. John's brand has gotten to Canada. Mate, tell us, how come, in your opinion, you know John, you're good mates with him. Every time I talk to John McGrath, I even heard him on Tom Panos's $1 Million podcast the other day. He was giving the event a little bit of a shout out. And again, he said Mat Steinwede, James Tossman, they're two of the best agents on the planet. Mate, so you know John. Why do you think, what's he done that makes him different than the rest of us, that's got him to be a global brand? And can we emulate that success, or is that just John can do it and it's beyond us?
No, absolutely we can. People try and do things too quick, and they have this thing that, you know, you've got to realise John. And I've known John for quite a long time now, and on a really personal level, I think I've got to know him, well, personal enough. You know, I don't go and have dinner at his house every day, but it's like I've got to know the man, and you've got to really understand that he has dedicated his whole life to building this. So, and earlier on, he saw like a bit of a, what do you call it, like a window, and the real estate industry was pretty average. And I think a lot of it has to do with timing. You know, like when I started working in my area all those years ago, no one was doing that at all. And I got known for that. With John, he saw the standards were quite low in real estate back then in the 90s, early 90s. The standards were quite low. The real estate offices were pretty average. The window displays were ugly. So he started in a terrace, no window display, wanted to create good quality service, transparent. He was a salesperson, but could quickly see that if he surrounded himself with the right people, that would free him up enough to keep building his vision. And that's what he did. He took a punt. He took a risk. You know, the risk paid off. I just don't think there's big rewards without big risk, and he put it all on the line.
Yep.
At one stage, you know, the accountant rang him. Many people might know the story, but the accountant rang him and said, John, you know, you probably got to go into receivership. And there is no money. There's none. And he sold a property that he had, just kept him going, and he got through it. And there's been quite a few times like that. At one stage, you know, and we look at John and we go, whoa, look at what he's done and whatnot. But, mate, that guy has endured more bumps in a career than anyone that I know. Like, and I mean major. And one time he had like 20 plus high performers leave his company all at once.
Wow.
Like, it was in the paper saying the cracks are starting to show McGrath, and, oh, mate, it was just, like, terrible. But, you know, like the perseverance of this guy is like no one I know. And so too are the rewards.
What do you think that says about his character when, you know, I mean, in some ways I run seminars the same as he's got his ARIC that does. And I tell you, I just want to send a shout out that, to that guy, that he's on the phone to me, and the conversations we've had, maybe half a dozen of them on the phone, maybe half a dozen times in person, and he's sitting there genuinely wanting and helping me to make my events better. He comes and appears at them to make my events better, when he must know on some level that that in some ways, and I don't think of him that way, I think of him as a mentor, and he obviously doesn't think of me as a competitor, but what does that say about, I mean, imagine a real estate agent, and you've done the same thing, Matt, where you've sent your competitors to my training events. Now, unless you think my training events are crap and you want them to go off on the wrong course, I think it speaks volumes when people truly do see this business and this industry not as a zero-sum game, but there is enough for everyone. What are your thoughts on that kind of, that mindset, I suppose?
Yeah, well, exactly. John is probably the most abundant-minded person that I have met personally. If you think about the whole concept of ARIC, it's having his competitors on stage, having John on stage, having anyone that he thinks can benefit people on stage, and talk about, well, John gives away more secrets, if there are any, but more tips, secrets, time, energy, focus, effort into other people or for other people than anyone in this industry. And there's something about having that openness and abundance that brings it back to you so strong. But you can't have that scarcity mentality and move forward and expect abundance. You've got to have the opposite. And I watched it with John ever since the early ARICs, and I think I went to the first one, or maybe the second. I can't remember when, but it was only small. Mm-hmm. But even then, people used to say, "I can't believe he tells us everything that his company is doing." Like he tells people how much his company makes, what it does, the people, the new innovations, all of this stuff. Like he's shared it his whole career.
Yeah, that was one of the first things he said the first time you, me, and him did an event together, was he said, "I won't tell you 75% of what we do. I'll tell you everything," and just testament to the guy, I tell you, if we were judged, because I've watched a couple episodes of Shark Tank, and mate, he had me in tears, one of them, when he invested in this company that for kids with special needs, he invested in a childcare centre. I tell you, if we were judged by that guy's character and not by what we see on A Current Affair, we'd have a very different reputation with the community, I would expect.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And look, we're just watching a guy reap the benefits or the rewards of a vision that he had 30 years ago. Mm. We're actually watching it happen in front of us. And there's a lot to be said about staying steady and success. You see so many agents change and look for this, this magical office is going to create something, success in their life. John had an idea, had a belief, and just went after it, and has not changed ever since I've known him. And I've known him most of my real estate career. 20 years ago, I sent him a video of myself just for an opportunity to meet him when his company was a bit smaller, like quite a bit smaller. But and he rang me, and I went down, and ever since then, the relationship has just grown, and I've got to see the guy just keep walking in that direction, and that's why he's successful. You can't become successful on inconsistent actions. You just can't. It's shaky. It's sandy foundation.
Yeah, I remember once and I don't know if we've ever spoken about this, but we may have. I know because John and I were talking once about when you became his first franchise owner. And he changed his whole business plan because he wasn't ready, he told me. He said he wasn't ready, but when Mat Steinwede comes along and says, "How about it?" you figure out a way. Is that the same way you remember it?
Yeah, I rang him one day and said, "Oh, mate, have you ever thought about franchising?" And I was sitting in the car park at the back of our office, and he's like, "Oh, Matty, don't know, no, I'm years away from even like thinking about it." Because John's pretty fussy. Like if he changes something within the company, he will sit on it for months and months and months before he'll even sort of make a decision on it.
Yep.
If it affects something to do with his brand or his company, I mean, as a salesperson, he's probably like one of the quickest thinking people. But if it's something a bit bigger than that, longer lasting, he'll take time. Mm-hmm. And he said, why? And I said, well, our franchise agreement's just run out, and the company that we're with sort of like, it's probably not us. We feel like we've outgrown it, and we'd like to be McGrath. And he went, He goes, all right, let's make it happen. And within 60 days, within 60 days, we made it happen. But a lot of people don't know that we sort of worked on a handshake for 2 years.
Yep.
So, like, he could have rang up at any time and said, guys, it's been good, but can you take the signs down?
Yeah, and similarly the same thing. And it just, I mean, I tell you what, if there's going to be, because I don't think the first contract I've ever had with anyone was with Arnold Schwarzenegger, because I've done millions of dollars worth of deals, and I've never had a contract ever, and including with yourself, with John, with anyone. And if there's any blokes that I don't have any problem doing whatever we do on a handshake, it's you and him. So
yeah. Well, I mean, it's just cool to operate like that.
Yeah, cool. Excellent, mate. So I think I've picked your brain enough, man. But what's your take on your learnings over the years? Just give us a short Matt version of what your, I suppose, professional development. You studied Lee Woodward for so many years, and you took so much from each of the coaches you've learned from, both in the industry like Lee, out of the industry with folks like Robin Sharma. Are you still studying as much? And what have been the phases of Matt's growth when it comes to mentoring, being mentored, being a mentor yourself, and events like this one coming up?
Yeah, I really look outside the industry now for inspiration and guidance, and I'm really interested in where the industry is going. Like what changes are coming, and I think probably we're at a stage that when John McGrath sort of started his real estate standard upgrade of the industry, I reckon we're at a stage now where that sort of window is opening again for the way we do business. Maybe, I don't know. It's an interesting thing, and I'm looking vigorously at what other people are doing that in the world that are leading in those spaces, and that's probably something I'm going to talk about when we're together. What date is it? Maybe the 8th of September.
I'm glad it's in your diary, bud. That's good. I'm glad Pip's onto it. Pip's onto it.
Yeah.
She'll make sure you're there. That's good.
Yeah, I'll be there. And then, that's what I'm going to talk about, like staying relevant. I think that's super important, and a lot of my mentors now are really outside real estate, because there's a lot going on outside in certain areas that I reckon are giving us hints on where we're going. And I want to stay, the guy in my area. That I think spaces can open and close very quickly, and if you don't stay there and reinvent, and some of the younger agents that are new, I reckon it's quite easy to compete against the big gorillas in your area if you have a few things. If you're willing to commit for a bit and really run down a certain path, I reckon you could probably start leaving them behind if they don't move just as quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's really the whole theme of this event is going to be guys like yourself, guys like John, who have been, John's been a thought leader in our business for his entire career, certainly for my entire career. He's been the guy I look to for visionary. And, I had this graphic whipped up that really this is the question we're going to pose to Richard, is if they did that, if they did virgin property or virgin real estate, what would that look like, and how would it kick the butt and disrupt, I suppose? We saw the taxi industry decimated by a new idea in Uber. We've seen hotels changed by Airbnb. Do you reckon that those industries, because they were sitting back like our industry thinking they've got nothing to worry about, do you see an imminent threat like that, Matt, or do you think that we'll be okay? We probably, though, do need to change like you're describing.
Well, let's talk about how would you feel about virgin property if you're a real estate agent coming to your area? I
would work for them.
Why?
Because I may be unique that I'm a fan of Richard and the brand and the ethos behind taking an industry that is, I suppose, not thought of too well by the public and giving them an alternative that's all wrapped around customer service and and that, like you did with airlines, like you did with all of those industries. So, but I may be unique in that I'm a fan of Richard, and if Richard Branson said, Glenn, come work with me, I would. But I don't know if I'm in the minority or not, you know?
Oh, I get that. But it's really brand, isn't it? It's really the brand. I mean, Richard's not going to be in your office, Twids. I hate the brand.
I get it.
Your office, like, keep doing your daily accountability. But it's really brand, isn't it? So the Virgin is a powerful brand because people like it. It's fun. It's trustworthy. It's everything Richard stands for. So I think it's an interesting thing, and you automatically go, I'd go work for them. But what about your personal brand? Shelley's just bringing dinner in, thanks. What about your personal brand? See, that's really, Shelley says hello, Twits.
Hey, Shells!
Hi, Twits.
But see, this is the thing. Every single agent listening to this right now, this is exactly where I'm at with this. I want my personal brand to be way stronger than any company real estate brand.
Beautiful.
Any. And whether it's Virgin and I think Virgin, if it came to your area, yes, I agree, it would create a buzz and people would use it, but you can only run a company so long on enthusiasm. You've got to deliver the results consistently year after year after year after year after year. That's what builds the brand. So they would still have people within Virgin real estate come to your area, but they've still got to deliver a great company. And I'm sure it would be good, but I reckon this is the space right now, and that's what I was saying. There is a space opening up, and it's right there. I can see it, and every single agent listening to this, they need to think about it carefully. I reckon real estate is going through a transformation period, and you need to make sure that you grab that space, and your personal brand is known for that. Your personal brand is the thing that people wake up and think about, not McGrath or not Hookers or not whatever. They need to think about Mat Steinwede, and Mat Steinwade's the only guy to speak to if you've got real estate like this.
Yep.
That's exactly the change we're in right now. It's always been there, but it's been a bit slower, like it's been a bit more traditional, and it's taken ages for you to get known in an area. Now I reckon you can do it within 12 months, maybe a bit longer, but then you've got to deliver consistently year after year after year after year after year, and then companies can come to your area, but your brand's going to be stronger than them.
Yeah, I agree. No matter what company came to Terrigal, it'd be hard to knock off a 20-year, whether we use the word icon or brand or whatever it is that the Mat Steinwede brand is down there. It can be hard to pip that, no matter who the brand is. Agreed, 100%.
I think so. And that where I'm at now, like I want to make it even bigger and better. And that's what Richard Branson's done very well over the years.
Mate, before you go, Bud, I just wanted to just quickly, in front of my peers, because you guys are on these web trainings, are all our inner circle of coaching clients, just say thanks to you, man, for being part of that craziness with that bike. I still am in awe of what you guys did, chipping in to buy the Harley. Mate, how did they contact you? Because I haven't asked this. How did they contact you and say, Matty, give me some money, we're chipping in to buy Twids a Harley? What happened there?
That's exactly what happened. And I really wanted to be there, but I didn't realise our office awards night or something was on the same night. And I did actually think of not going to the awards night, but anyway, Michelle said that's crazy.
Yeah.
You made me upset, so anyway, I wanted to be there.
Oh, man. I just, actually, before you go, because I can hear you eating, so last question, I'll just get your quick take on this.
I'm here. I'm eating because I'm here, so don't worry about it.
Okay. Mate, because that gift, I mean, when you look at the group of coaching clients, like there's the crew that were there, and you can see, Chris Gilmore's there. There's some of the best agents in the country that were part of that craziness. The amount of money they would have given me in cash over the years, I don't even want to think. It'd be just $500,000 plus, but it's the Harley that I'll remember till the day I die. What's your thoughts on gift giving, cash versus, I've been riding down the road on that, thinking about you guys, just with tears flowing down because of what that represents, What's your take on that? Is there a lesson that you've sort of learned from being being part of that?
Well, it's like, honestly, you're just a good guy. You've got a lot of love around you because you give a lot of love out. And it's the same as John McGrath. People wonder why he's successful. He just is success-minded and he gives a lot of success to people. You do the same. You're sitting on that bike, mate, because people love who you are. And that's it. There's no secret about it. Like, you're a good guy.
What I love, I'll just bring up this photo. That's my little girl sitting on it. In my opinion, when you're giving gifts to clients, and this is for everyone that's on the call, of course, when you're giving gifts to clients, if you can put that smile on their family's face, that you'll be their real estate agent forever.
That's true. And that saying, success is a direct result of how you make people feel. Twids, you've made a lot of people feel really good, so just keep doing that.
Cool, bro. Thank you, my man. All right, what else? I'm just going through some slides here. Oh, this is what, Matty, you were part of the Harley group, so you're off the hook. So I'm saying to my next generation of coaching clients, just like I think it was in 2009, I in an offhand comment mentioned that I like Harleys. Well, I was just up in Northern Territory and one of my clients has got one of these. So I'm just throwing it out there, guys. I really like Teslas. I really So there you go. 5 or 6 years from now, Matt, let's see if the universe... It seems that's how it works. You just put it out there and stuff happens. Well, let's put Tesla out there and see what happens. Have you driven one of them, Matty? Have you driven one of them?
No, I haven't.
Oh, man. I'm not even a car guy, right, at all. But that thing there is insane. And it doesn't even have an engine. It's all electric, no engine. I tell you, take one for a test drive. They're incredible. And I don't even...
You should be getting Elon Musk at one of your next seminars.
I should be what, sorry?
You should get Elon Musk at your next seminar.
Oh, is he the dude who made them?
Yeah.
Mm.
That guy's amazing.
I'll write that down. I never knew him by name, but I've heard he's incredible, that he's a billionaire freak, just a freak, he's like so committed to what he did and against all odds, kind of like we've been talking about John.
Mate, he's building rockets and stuff now. NASA's trying to get tips from him.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, okay. And a few people are typing in that Elon Musk book me in. They're saying they're in. So you've hit on one, mate. Very good. Thank you, bud. All right, so guys, while we've got him, have you got any questions for Matt? Because Matt pops on here from time to time, but, he's on a mission to completely change his team. So while we've got him, if you've got any questions, just type them in. There's a good-looking rooster. Mate, are you still doing the saturation marketing thing? You still whacking it every, your area like you used to?
Yeah, I am. I am. I'm just, to be perfectly open with you, I'm having difficulty keeping up with the volume. So,
of inquiry coming in, of listing inquiry coming in?
Yeah, listings and things and, yeah.
Wow.
I'm actually really having, I can handle a lot, but I'm having a bit of a challenge, like trying to, keep up with the whole thing.
Wow, because you mentioned that, and you by pre-framing it with, to be perfectly honest and all that, Michael Spillane, I'm letting it out here because he said, just because Matt's been so revealing, then, Michael Spillane said the same thing. He said, Glenn, you're not allowed to tell anyone this. And here I am telling everyone this. But he said, I've got about 10, maybe 15 listings that I could go and list tomorrow that are well priced that I just haven't had time to go and do. What a great problem to have. And, half the people on this webinar are putting daggers in their little Mat Steinwede doll and Michael Spillane doll right now.
That's why I think sometimes, mate, like, when people say, Mat Steinwede does this or someone does this, like, I think everybody's at different stages trying to work their next stage out, and it's not always what people think.
Yep. Definitely first world problems, though. So, how about your CMA system? Is that being run? Because the question that's come in is how do you organise the regular CMAs? Have you got the team doing that on autopilot now, where Mat Steinwede doesn't do it himself anymore?
Yeah, no, I don't. No, that's right.
So they still go out to the database, but by the team.
Yeah, by the team. I just launched my new thing called Ask Mat. What date is it today? 27th or something?
Yeah, something like that.
In a few days, and that's going to supersede anything that I do. That's where my whole focus is going for my prospecting.
Right. Okay. So Ask Mat like a website, a driving like an Ask Mat, like a question about property and.
Well, it is. It's going to be a real estate show. It's almost going to be not exactly reality TV. That's not right, but it's going to be a bit of everything. So they can every week they can tune in and just watch what I'm doing.
Watch this space online, or have you got some space on the air?
Online.
Yeah, cool. I remember you put me years ago onto Gary Vaynerchuk, and I've put out a few messages to Gary. He's yet to come back to me with a number, but I'm so grateful you put me onto that guy. So something like his Wine TV kind of thing.
No, I copied him. He's Asked Gary V.
Yep.
So I did ask her because look, we all just copy each other, really, everybody. People hear what you do, they copy you. So I thought, I thought of other names, but Ask Mat is pretty good. So it's good because it's easy and traditionally marketed to my core areas and hopefully watched by the entire Central Coast at some point, and if not wider. But I've got to make it a bit. His show is he gets on and he just answers a question, whereas I want to make it a bit more like about my life and about stuff and just the whole thing. So it's a bit interesting. Plus, I'll answer questions as well. So I'm just trying to take it a little bit further than what Gary's done. But hey, Gary's got a bigger profile than me anyway, so he probably can just answer questions.
Absolutely. He can't get to all the questions he's got. He can't get to everyone. Yeah, he's.
He'll take it, but I'm sure we'll get there.
Very good, mate. So tune in, guys. Keep your eye out for Ask Mat. Connect with him on Facebook. Where are we? What's a good way? Logan asked, what's a good way to introduce yourself to an area when just starting into a new area? Is there a quick way to answer that, Matt, or do I send them to the website to get the Mat Steinwede system?
No, that's...
You don't like it when I sell your stuff, but guys, you should buy the Mat Steinwede system.
I closed the website down anyway, so don't worry about it.
Really? Can I buy the rights? I'm serious. Can I buy the rights to it?
No, you can just have whatever you need. Just let me know.
I love it, Matt.
I just think, I know it sounds boring, but I door knocking, seeing each person, giving them a card, doing all the usual stuff. You can't get away from it. It's you've got to. I think you've got to turn into a bit of a machine and prospect so much that while all the other agents are running around doing things, if you're new, I reckon that's the best space when someone's new because you haven't got too much business, you can think, and you can also just stretch yourself. I don't know if you've got kids or whatnot, but I would work from 5 o'clock in the morning till 11 o'clock at night. That's what I would do.
And you're walking your talk. That's what you used to do, isn't it?
Yeah. On the odd occasion, I still do.
Yep. I remember I got some advice and actually they used you as an example. Someone said, when you meet someone like a Mat Steinwede, don't ask what they do, ask what they did. And yeah, that's great advice, man. Very cool.
That's awesome advice. Yeah, that's very true.
Mate, Trevor asks, how's Logan's surfing going? Is he taking Arnold's advice? How's the young man going?
He's been at school just about every day. And yes, he's taken Arnold's advice perfectly. He's thinking of going to year 12 now, which is good.
And he wasn't going
to? No. But he just has to see where the pro junior career goes, and he's headed for good things, I think. He certainly puts the work in, so I don't know. I think he'll let go that way. But it just depends. When he turns about 14, 15, that's when the junior career starts to take off, and if he does that, then he'll have to do distance education.
Yeah, okay, wow.
But he's focused on school, totally.
Very cool. How many Hilton A Diamond, and I'm sure it's a fake profile because there's so many Hilton Golds and they all get on here and they half the time that's Chris Gilmore, so it might be Chris. How many? The question is how many numbers are in your team? And he kind of described it before, but just quickly, Matt, how many are in your team?
Yeah, me and Trev list and sell. Then I've got Jimmy, who sort of does a bit of buyer stuff, more concierge stuff. Then I've got Pip, who's like, she does all the marketing. So when I list the property, I just give the agreement to her and I don't see it until it goes on the market again. So she organises all the stuff. Jack, who's a cadet, he basically letterbox drops all day. And the new addition is Bryony, and she will do all of the database management and all of the settlement, like exchange to settlement stuff. That's about it. I do need one more person with Trev, like you, Jimmy.
Yeah. So there you go, guys. There's your opportunity. If you want to go work with Mat Steinwede, you can go work in the Mat Steinwede team. But I tell you what, his recruiting process, we were talking about it early in the webinar if you weren't here, he might be saying to you, look, it might not work out, and in a month's time, you might be on your way. But there you go. So go to McGrath Terrigal, leave a resume and see how you go. Roll the dice.
That's why illusion tweets, because when people say they write $3, $4, and $5 million, mate, they could have 6 people that work with them, or 5, or 7, or 10, or whatever. That's why it's an illusion, and I just want people to understand that. Don't judge what you're doing on someone else's numbers.
Yep, agreed. Definitely. All right, here we go. Glenn, is Matt, so I'm just reading through these questions. Richard says Gary Vaynerchuk is a legend. Glenn, you and I are aligned. We should speak sometime, UK to Australia. I love that we got the UK on tonight. Thanks, Richard. Now, Terry asks, Glenn, is Matt's branding versus McGrath name, what impact does this have? Should Matt be Matty Steinwade Realty? Mate, what's your take on brand versus the McGrath brand versus your personal brand? I know we've discussed that we value, even John says that the brand at the top of the sign, McGrath, is less important than the brand at the bottom, Mat Steinwade. What's your take on that discussion?
Such a good question. Who asked that?
It was Terry Ritchie.
Terry. Hey, Terry. That's a great question. I have so many people ask me that, even in my area, even owners, all sorts of stuff. So why don't you be Mat Steinwade Real Estate? I'm amazing at selling real estate. Like, I'm really good. I don't say that in a boastful way. It's just me. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, I just get it. And I can't run a company. You know, I couldn't stand having franchise owners if I was going to go franchising, and even multiple offices. Like, we got like 100 people that work with us. Jamie, my business partner, looks after it all, but his skill set is so different than mine. He can sit in a meeting for 3 hours talking to realestate.com about bloody real estate prices. I don't know, whatever, and managing people and the tier of management and all of this. It's just not my thing. I'm acutely aware of what I'm good at, and that's why.
Yep. We've seen many. You would have seen it many times, wouldn't you? Where a great salesperson like yourself went and opened their own deal, and it was kind of maybe sometimes lackluster and sometimes a disaster. You would have seen that a bunch of times, yeah.
Yeah, I see it a lot. Agents, instead of agents looking at it and saying, how can I be the master of running my own business within a business? And I reckon you would make more than most business owners if you get it right, and see that as a long-term proposition, because a lot of salespeople get to a point, they might write X amount of dollars, and then they go, well, why would I give these guys this portion of it? I'll go and do it myself, and it'll be my office, and I'll make the decisions. You're already sort of doing that on a smaller scale, but I'd rather be a part of something amazing than try and build something amazing myself and be totally like on my own. Like, it doesn't appeal to me one bit. So I just own a portion of my company, and we've had a few people buy in as well, but I can seriously say it's been far more beneficial and powerful for me doing that than having Mat Steinwade Real Estate. And on top of that, to answer the McGrath thing, I believe in John's vision. And like when Glenn said that he'd go work for Virgin, yeah, I think that would be a good option too, if that was the company you felt aligned with than the person at the front of it. Because look at this, like McGrath is talking about, I don't know, they're talking about floating and things like this. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, I have no idea. But it's like, they're talking about floating and stuff because they need to raise more capital to go into other areas. McGrath spent millions on this database and they're going to scrap it and bring in another database. Like, take some serious funding to grow a company of a decent size. So you can either stay small with your own name or be a part of something that's going to be way bigger than probably most of us could create on our own, thanks to John's hard work and people like that. Wouldn't you want to be a part of something amazing, like something that's just going to, I think it's going to change the real estate industry over time? I love being a part of that because I believe in John and his vision and, I feel a resonance with it.
Yeah, ditto. Well, ditto. And you know what? What's really interesting, I've been very grateful, I think, because I tell you, if John McGrath ever said, Glenn, let's have a talk. If John McGrath ever tried to recruit me, I don't think I could say no. So because I'm on my mission, I'm kind of glad because having studied that man for hundreds and hundreds of hours, audios and books and trainings and all of that stuff, more than he'll probably ever know. It's like we let our mentors into our head. So if John ever said, Glenn, come on, just like Richard, I couldn't say no. I'd be there. So very cool.
Yeah, sure.
Cool. All right. So someone is saying they'll open a franchise with you in Auckland. Why not have someone and you just keep listing and selling? Well, that's what he does, Andrea. Andrea is saying, why not have someone run the business for you and you just keep listing and selling, is what Andrea is saying. And Andrea, that's exactly what Matt was describing with Jamie and himself. Jamie does all that stuff that would drive Matt Burko. And Matt just keeps the legend charging forward. So very cool. Question.
So I think
go ahead.
Why don't I Mat Steinwede and have the business run for me? Yeah, for sure. You can. But it's like, I think there's a whole lot of stuff that starting from scratch and then building Mat Steinwede real estate. I don't know. It's like branding and all this sort of stuff. John has teams of people that do that. Jamie runs the business, so I've got a pretty good setup.
Yeah. Yep. Agreed. Question for both of you. How do you get an old, this will be an interesting one. All right. Now we're getting down to the business end, Matty. Question for both of you. How do you get an old style principal to invest in local brand awareness campaign? Or if he did, would it interfere with us personal branding? So I guess Jeff is, wanting to do what you and I teach. He's got an old style principal that kind of doesn't want to do anything. What would be your advice to Jeff?
Leave.
Oh God. Okay. Okay. There you go. You got the one word answer from Matt. Jeff, I would. Wow. I mean, that's what I want to say. I don't think I've got enough information to answer you yet. If he's just sitting back and not interfering with your personal branding, and if the percentage comm split you're on is conducive to you staying, then I would build just a giant personal brand and, let the other brand kind of fade into the background. But, I don't think we've got quite enough info there to answer, but Matt's advice, if there's like the equivalent of a McGrath down the road, then Matt's advice is certainly to the point and sound.
It's all about energy. The energy comes from the top. Wherever you work, the energy comes from the top. It filters through the whole business. If you've got some resistance going on, that resistance is going to get bigger. You're going to feel like, oh, can I, whatever. You've got to be somewhere where you feel aligned. I'm not saying go in tomorrow and resign. I'm just saying have your options open, have your antenna up, see what presents itself, and if where you're at sort of doesn't feel good down the track, then move.
Yep. Ellen from New Zealand. Actually, Ellen travelled to Adelaide to see you and me. Remember when we went down to Adelaide and did an event down there? Ellen came from New Zealand to see that. She said, Matt, love that word profit you used. It's a forgotten word in real estate. It's not all about what you write, which just doesn't make sense. So you remember Ellen, yeah?
Ellen, yeah, I love Ellen.
There you go, Ellen. You got a fan in Mr. Stein. Very cool. So yeah, she's just backing up what you're saying on the profit. Very cool. What do you try to sort of debrand the McGrath brand? Oh, okay. Let me ask you this, Matt, because I'm interested in this. Do you, and Andrea uses the word try, but let me ask you, does it kind of debrand the McGrath brand when you're doing your personal branding to the extent that you do?
Say it again.
Well, how does the McGrath brand at all suffer when you put Mat Steinwede as the forefront personal brand and McGrath being the brand supporting it behind the scenes? What's your take on that?
I don't think so. I think no, I don't think so. It's a bit of a compliment. It's a complementary partnership, if that's the words. But it's like it's exactly like the last question. I think it was about the owner of the office doesn't want to do this and whatever. It's like where you work is just a partnership, and it's got to be so aligned with who you are and what you want to do that it's almost like you feel like there's a natural connection there. So your personal brand will become the number one thing, but the company that you work for, like, I'm really proud to be a part of McGrath. Like, I feel that. So I feel it complements my personal brand, and I won't outgrow it to the point where I'm this big personal brand working for this really average agency. Like, there's an equilibrium there that's happening, I think.
So do you have
I like McGrath's innovation. I like McGrath's direction it's going. I like the feel of it. All of that sort of stuff. Like, so it's just. I feel it's growing in a different way as much as my personal brand is growing. So they work sort of hand in hand.
Yeah, agreed. And that's what I love about John is he's not sitting back just because he's John McGrath. You know, when I saw that he got onto the Australian version of Shark Tank, I thought that is so good because, anyone in John's position could have just sat back as the industry expert, the celebrity industry dude, but now he's branched out into really the whole country now knows him as an entrepreneurial wizard as well. So, I agree that John ain't sitting stagnant. He's improving his own personal brand, which in turn improves the company brand as well. So, yeah, I love it, mate. Love it. Love seeing you guys roll. Very cool. All right, I think we've hit all the questions. Matty, you got any questions of me or us or any final statements or what's your, do you need anything from us, mate? Because you always give so selflessly. What do you need?
Nothing. I'm all good. You just popped on. Just say hi.
You're a star, man. Thank you, bud. And, man, thanks again for, coming up. And actually, before we go, James Tostovan speaks so highly of you, and it's because of you that James agreed to come to this event. So, again, I owe you so much for you helping. But tell us about James. I mean, everyone should know who he is, but give us your take. You've known James for a long time. You've had a lot of respect for him over the years. Tell us a bit about James.
Yeah, well, I've sort of known him on a personal level and a work level, and I've seen him work through his divorce and change in life and all that sort of stuff. And mate, that guy's a freight train. If you want to talk about a real estate agent, see, it's a little bit different because he lists and prospects. That's his two goals. But he does it so well. So in terms of prospecting, like, he is the quintessential salesperson that's out there fighting for business in the trenches every day. That's what he does. And there's a lot of admiration I have for him to maintain that over 35 years, I think.
Wow.
He would make more prospecting calls than most salespeople within a total office, let alone singularly, every week.
Yeah.
So, but that might not be someone else's definition of success either. Like making 250 prospecting calls might be totally someone else's version of like, well, I don't want to be doing that 35 years into my career. So he's found his rhythm, he's found his niche. He's a partner in or a director of the company, Marshall White, which is a phenomenal company. So this is what I mean before. Like I've watched a lot of these people. James could go and open James Tostovan Real Estate. You really got to ask yourself, why has he not? Because he understands that he can make great money working as a salesperson on a great split, be a part of a company, contribute to the company, get energy back from the company, invest in others and watch them grow and succeed. And, would you rather own a smaller portion of something amazing or a big portion of something that's just okay? I think a lot of salespeople should look at people like James and see that there is a really great career being a salesperson within a great company.
Yeah. And mate, do you think there's something in the water down there? Because Marcus Ciminello was his PA for 18 months, and now look at what that bloody bugger's doing. Just incredible down at that company, obviously.
And I tell my kids every other day, you become like who you hang around. That's plain and simple. Like you hang around these people enough, you'll become like that. So Marcus becoming that, no, it doesn't surprise me one bit. It's like, whether it's through video or personally or whatever, you become like where you spend time.
What's your take on people, Matt, that have come to you over the years and have wanted to work alongside you, applying that principle we just talked about, that you just mentioned, and yet sometimes it doesn't always rub off for whatever reason. Like, it's like the reality of working alongside McGrath-Terrigal in Mat Steinwade's office didn't, whatever it was, it didn't rub off on that person, and Chris Gilmore's seen the same thing. I'm sure James has seen the same thing. What's your take on when it doesn't work?
Mate, it does work every time. It's not that it doesn't work, it's just that their level of commitment hasn't been there to allow it to work. And that might take 10 years. Like Jason Boone, number one in Richardson.
Wow. Sorry, mate, we're just losing you a bit, bud. Just start, mate, have you still got us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're back. We just lost you. Jason Boone was the last thing we heard.
So it's been in 20 years he's been selling real estate. It took him 10 years to get any traction.
Yep.
So, and I'm going to talk about this at the seminar, but there's the book Outliers basically outlines what it takes to become successful. And it says that real estate is not about talent. Not real estate. Success is not about talent. It's about these specific things. And one of them is the grind. And he has, in this book, there's been thousands and thousands of people studied hours, age, time, focus, all of this stuff. And he said there is not one instance that someone has not succeeded if they have been a grind. And what he means is there is not one person that if they've selected a career or they've selected a path for themselves, and if they just maintain their path and they've just maintained their consistent effort and upstep their practice and focus and energy and commitment over a period of years, and he outlines how many hours that they do. He said there's not one person that they could find in any of their studies that didn't end up becoming successful at that thing that they chose. So the grind is exactly what I did, and I think it's the reason that people don't become successful is they just don't complete that grind, because at some point it's going to happen, at some point. And like Jason Boone, he could have got to the 7th year and went, I'm making hardly any money. I'm not having a great life. I've been fired 3 times, which he was. I've been fired 3 times. I'm just really not happening for me, and left. Imagine if he did that.
Yeah.
Imagine if he did that. But no, he said, I'm going to work this thing out. I'm going to get there. I know you've got to live along the way, but you just make it happen. It's got to happen. And at 10 years, that was the year that it started to turn around for him.
Wow. Yep. Agreed. Alex is just asking, what was the name of that book again? Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell is the one that's talking about. It's fantastic. So Alex, grab that one because, it's when Mat Steinwede recommends you a book, you get it. Because when Matt recommended that I get Crush It by Gary Vaynerchuk, it was one of the best books I've ever read. So definitely get it, mate. And I've got that one myself. It's fantastic. Malcolm Gladwell is just brilliant. All of his work is excellent. Cool, man. Okay. Well, Matty, thanks a million for getting on, bud. I really appreciate it. I can't wait to say thanks in person for you agreeing to be part of this crazy fun that we're doing. I mean, look, I'm stunned that the universe has lined up where all of these folks, a who's who of real estate, has all come together in one venue at one time. I'm sure having Sir Richard at the helm kind of is part of the reason. But Matty, I appreciate you giving the call to Mr. Tostovan to tip him over the edge. There's another Malcolm Gladwell book, The Tipping Point. Man, thanks so much for everything, bud, and not least jumping on tonight and helping us out. It certainly speaks volumes, mate. Thanks again.
No sweat at all. Have a good one, mate.
You too, mate. Thanks a million, bud. Go and eat dinner, and thanks again for your portion of the Harley too. You're a champ, man. Thanks, buddy. There you go, folks. Mr. Steinwede. What a freaking legend. He walks his talk. He's the best in the game, and he's so giving. So, guys, what I'd love, he has nipped off now. I'd love it if you could, pop on his Facebook wall and just thank him on behalf of me for taking some time to, really to help all of us in our careers, because he truly is, a guy. I know he said, no, don't focus on the gross, and I agree with him. But for a guy to have a team that, he surfs every morning, he's a great dad to his kids, and he lives a busy yet amazing life, and and still manages to do 4 million that he shares amongst the team. He's a phenom. He's one of the best in the game. So thanks for on behalf of me to Matt. So yeah, go to Facebook and pop a little message on his wall. That'll help him show his community that he's helping the industry and giving back. So Richard types on that it's been an amazing webinar. My pleasure, Richard. Thank you from the UK for popping on. Great to have you on. And guys, now let me just see if there were any questions. I think there were a few. Let me just quickly see what we got. I'm going to get to that one next time. Yeah, no, okay. Let me just, someone's asked the name of the book again, so let me just pop that on here just so you've got it. Now, I might get the spelling right, but I don't think I am. I think this is the correct spelling. So, Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. Fantastic book. So, that was the one that Matt mentioned. Very cool. So, guys, hopefully you're all coming to this crazy thing that we've been talking about all night, the Richard Branson event. Tickets do start at $199. It doesn't even cover costs, but it's going to be fantastic event, truly, where we ask Richard Branson this question that we were just talking about a moment ago, where we say, righto, if that company was to start, what would Richard Branson do, and how would we compete with it? That's what we're going to be putting. It's going to be it's not just going to be a training seminar. It's going to be truly a mastermind group with the countries and the world's, if you include Richard Branson, with the country's best real estate minds answering the question of what's working now and where do they see the future of real estate going. So this is about future-proofing your business, guys. I really do think we'll be talking about this event for the next decade, because I don't foresee anyone, including myself, being able to match this lineup at any one time. I think we're going to see this as a pivotal moment in this industry. And I'm looking at the names on the list here. Most of you guys are already booked in, so it's good. Thank you, guys. Now you get a bit of a sense of what mischief we get up to on these web trainings. Sometimes we've got guest stars like Matt. Sometimes we are doing my content. Sometimes we're answering questions about implementation. But it truly is a great community of people. It's an honor to have been, for you guys to have me as your guide on this journey. So thank you, and feel free to tag me in when you say good day to Matt on his website on Facebook. And just to say thanks to him for him giving so selflessly. He's a dude. And we'll see you guys in about a week and a half at the Titans of Real Estate. Thanks a million, guys. tag us in, and we'll continue a few discussions on Facebook, guys. So thank you, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.